on your back. Before we get started, I need y'all to do something. Just made an Instagram. Well, I've been at it, kind of, but for my channel, I'm gonna put it in the description at some point. Don't worry about it. It's blurry now, but yeah. Twitter, y'all, yeah. The chances y'all seeing this is, I'm just gonna put in the description at some point. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Ten states American retirees are leaving. From according to Brig. Shout out according to Brig. Go fuck my boy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, listen to it.
Today we're talking about retirees who have decided to pack up and move to a new state in pursuit of that perfect retirement. Whether it's a change of scenery, a more affordable cost of living, the opportunity to be closer to loved ones, or one of the countless other reasons, retirees choose to put their home state in the rearview mirror. Millions of Americans retire every single year, and depending on what study you look at, the rate that do that in another state sits somewhere around 12 to 16%. Different studies take different...
Oh, y'all can see me, right? Yeah. So, question of the vid. If you was to retire right now, what state is you moving to? Me? It's an interesting question. I don't know. I might just go out of space. Who knows? Anyway, me, I'll probably hide out somewhere in Arizona. Why not, right? I'm not going nowhere cold and from old. I'm not doing that. I can't. So,
different things into consideration, but that's the national average. In today's video, we're looking at the states that had the 10 highest percentage of retirees that actually did that. I think what's amazing about this is everyone just assumes when people retire, they head to Florida or Arizona. That's not the case. I'm going to show you what percentage left and the 2 states that they most often move to. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Massachusetts. If you've ever visited or lived in the Bay State, you probably think they should be higher on this list on cost of living alone. This place is brutal on the bank account. Boston especially. You could be a junior associate at a law firm and still have to sell pictures of your feet to pay rent. 12.7% of Massachusetts retirees decided to leave the state. Where are they going? Florida and South Carolina. Pennsylvania as a destination.
I thought you said Florida wasn't an option. But this is what I will say. Why in the fuck is Massachusetts so expensive? What the fuck is in Massachusetts that make that state so expensive? Like, what do they got there? I guess because about New York
was almost equal to South Carolina. Number 9, Nevada. I always thought Nevada was one of those places you retire to, especially if you like playing high-stakes bingo. They have that in Vegas. At least they did years ago. I saw a sign for it, high-stakes bingo. Those words just don't go together, high stakes and bingo. But I guess they have it. Could you imagine if you were addicted to high-stakes bingo and how humiliating it would be if you ran afoul and got in debt with the wrong people over your high-stakes bingo addiction? They send some guys over to your condo to rough you up. They pull the TV guide out of your hand, hit you over the head with it, then stomp on your reading glasses. The weather isn't really a factor as much in Nevada as it is in a lot of other states because if you're not older, you don't understand this. Cold weather is not an old person's friend. I'm over 50 and I have a lot of injuries from the military. And I'll tell you what, they hurt more.
You're 50? Think you sound about 35, 36, 50? It's crazy. That's crazy that this man is 50 years old.
Cold weather, and it just gets worse with age. I used to wake up every morning, get a cup of coffee, and read what was happening in sports or whatever, just cruise the internet. These days, I get my coffee, and I sit on the floor in my office on this yoga mat I have and try and stretch out for 20 minutes, just so I can have a normal day. But 14.2% of Nevada's retirees leave Nevada. They don't go too far. For the most part, Arizona and Texas. Number 8.
I thought Arizona was an option. guess it is. I mean, it makes sense, bro. I mean, what old person moves to
Iowa.
loud
This
city?
one kind of surprises me because Iowa's a pretty cheap place to live. Their cost of living compared to most other states is pretty low. And that's normally the biggest driver for someone to leave their state is they want a lower cost of living. I guess Iowa's so boring, no price is going to keep someone there. For a lot of people, Iowa was probably a great place to raise a family and build a career. But as people that have been there for a very long time get closer to that retirement age, they start looking for a little excitement, a little adventure, something Iowa has very little of. I mean, unless you're into gardening and fishing, by all means, stay in Iowa. 14.7% of Iowa's retirees are leaving Iowa. Where are they going? Florida and North Carolina. Oddly enough, that's North Carolina's only appearance on this list.
Iowa seemed like it would be cool. You know?
Our mission in Coding Dojo is about
They got
redefining
good
what's
potatoes,
possible
you
in
know,
our students'
potatoes.
lives. If you are interested in getting into tech,
Yeah,
we are 100% behind.
Okay, I might go to Iowa. Nah, it get cold.
Number 7, New Jersey. This one surprises me in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Number 1, why aren't the closer to 90% of the retirees leaving the state? Number 2 is this state's had so many super fun sites over the years. I'm surprised many people make it to retirement. There's been so many toxic waste dumps and contaminated water situations in New Jersey. I'm surprised New Jersey doesn't have a bunch of people that have like a third and fourth eye on the back of their head or something. 15% of New Jersey's retirees jump the border into Pennsylvania and head down to South Carolina. Number 6, West Virginia. Yes, people leave West Virginia that aren't looking for a job. That's the biggest thing for people that leave West Virginia. They're looking for work. It's so affordable, and it's a beautiful state. It's got a bunch of problems, and I get it. It's a beautiful state, low cost of living. You'd think retirees would stay there because a lot of times when you're on a fixed income in retirement, you're looking for as cheap as you can get. It's hard to get much cheaper than West Virginia. But I guess
when you retire, you get don't you get a lot of money from the government? But I guess that's not the case. I have my aunt that lived. Well, she go out there for half of a year. I mean, shit.
That cold weather scares them out. It gets pretty cold there. 15.3% of West Virginia's retirees spend their retirement in some other state. The 2 top states for that are South Carolina and Tennessee.
Yeah.
Number 5, Maine. Now, this one's kind of strange. In the last handful of years, Maine's become kind of popular with retirees from other states moving to Maine. But the ones from Maine, they're not sticking around as much as you'd think. And a lot of that has to do with cold and the cost of living. Cost of living's not crazy downtown San Francisco or Boston expensive, but it's up there a little bit. The cold weather, I think, is what really chases a lot of retirees out of Maine, though. 15.6% of Maine's retirees retire in another state. The 2 top states for that would be Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee's showing up on this quite often.
I'm not going to lie. No. Florida is showing them way more than 10. You said Florida like 3 or 4 times. You said Tennessee. This is the second time you said that. You said Florida was not an option. But clearly, that's cap. That's cap.
Surprised.
Yeah.
Number 4, Virginia. Yes, the other Virginia, the original Virginia. As a guy once told me, the only Virginia that matters. A lot of the people that leave the state of Virginia in retirement are coming from the northeast section right across from D.C., where all those government employees live. Arlington, Alexandria, Fairfax, Manassas, those places are pretty expensive. And once you've worked for the government long enough, you probably want to get as far away from it as you can in retirement. And then spend the next 20 or 30 years trying to forget you ever worked for the United States government. But yeah, it's going to be the cost. And Virginia does get some bad winters. Not Minnesota or Detroit bad, but it gets pretty cold. 16% of Virginia's retirees retire in another state. And where are they going? Florida and Arizona. I guess that cold weather is really getting to them there. You're heading out to Arizona.
Yeah.
Number 3, Utah. I would have thought Utah's one of those states you retire to, but it really doesn't seem like it. I mean, I kind of always had St. George, Utah on my list, my top 10 list of places I would retire. St. George is not bad. Great place to retire. Not too far from the Nevada border, so you can hit the casinos there. They're not the best casinos near there, but there's still casinos. So decent weather and casinos, and people are still flooding out of St. George like they're bringing back mandatory prairie bonnets. 19% of Utah's retirees choose another state. The two main states they choose, Arizona and Texas. So they don't go too far away.
Who cares?
Number 2, Maryland. If you knew much about parts of Maryland, like Baltimore, you'd understand why people flood out of there. Baltimore, I read things and I see things, and the crime is just horrible, and I get it and I understand. But a lot of
Like Baltimore, St. Louis, Baltimore, or this boy. It's too many. Sometimes I don't like when different states have like the same names as other states. It's too confusing at times. But I mean, the crime. It's crazy in Maryland, bro. This little ass state, bro. Like what the.
A lot of tech companies have been moving there over the last 5 or 6 years. I thought they'd have a little tech boom by now. I still think it's coming in the future, but I think Baltimore is going to be a different city 10 years from now that, totally different from the Baltimore we know right now. But it doesn't matter what's going on in Baltimore or the rest of that state. Almost a quarter of their retirees are leaving the state. 21.7% of Maryland's retirees choose a different state. Their two main states they choose, Florida and Tennessee. Like I said, Tennessee is showing up here a lot.
Florida showed up here a lot too. Why are you not saying that? Florida showed up like 5 times already. Tennessee is the 3rd time.
More than I would have expected. All right, before we get to number 1, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. We're almost at 1 million, and I'd really like to make that happen before the summer. All right, on to number 1.
Got it.
And number 1, Delaware. There are some nice parts of Delaware. The only place that really gets any of the news or attention is going to be Wilmington, and Wilmington ain't great. I've heard Wilmington, Delaware referred to as Detroit South. How bad does that suck?
The theater I watched before, they say a lot of black people live there. So I don't know what's going on.
I might do anything on Wilmington. I think of this guy that just used to email me all the time and threaten me and tell me not to come to Wilmington. I haven't heard from him in about a year, and I started wondering, does he do this with other people, and did someone finally call him on it and show up? Like that old saying, F around and find out. Maybe he found out. Delaware does have a pretty high cost of living, and they do get some pretty brutal winters. I like their...
Why? Like, the state is too damn small to be having, like, you to pay so much. And it be cold as fuck. Nah, no.
Summers. Their summers are nice. But yeah, their winters can get pretty cold. The occasional snowstorm, blizzard, whatever, but they just have months where it's like bone-chilling cold. That wind coming off the water sometimes just, oh my God. But 22.5% of Delaware's retirees do it out of state. Where are they going? Pennsylvania and Tennessee. That just cracks me up about Tennessee. I would have never really thought about retiring to Tennessee. There's probably 30 other states before Tennessee I would retire to.
It's the 4th time, but Florida was on there.
All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information.
Yeah, Florida was on there a lot of times. Anybody gonna somebody said they shot that New York one. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, New York wasn't it? Nor Cali either. California is not. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I guess they get paid a lot when they owe. But hey, man, it's gonna do it for the band. Remember, follow the gram, follow the Twitter. Yeah.